Quartz is cool again, and fair play to you if you've always been a fan of quartz, because a couple of years ago I was adamant I only wanted automatic watches and quartz was boring, and this year that's completely changed, and it's releases like the watch today that have inspired me to really get into quartz and see a permanent place in my collection for more than just one quartz watch. Today's watch is a reissue from the 1970s. This is the original, and I'm going to show you what's changed, because it might look similar, but today's watch internally is completely different to this original 1970s release. The watch today, I'm not going to lie, is one of my favourite releases this year, and definitely one of the best watches that I've picked up. I'm absolutely loving it. I don't know if you will, but let me take a chance to show you a little bit more in detail the Bulova Jet Star. Yes, here we are then, the Bulova Jet Star reissue. So you saw the original in the introduction, and this is the brand new one. Well, new for this year. So let's get into some specs with this watch. It's 40-20, 40mm in diameter, 20mm lug width. I measure 45.3 on the lug to lug and 12.5mm thickness, and we have 50 meters of water resistance here and a push-pull crown. Obviously, the party piece with this is what's inside. You've got retro design, but with a highly accurate precisionist movement, which is vibrating that quartz crystal at a frequency of 262 kHz. It's got 8 joules and it has accuracy to 5 seconds per month. It's resistant to temperature fluctuations, and of course that sumptuous sweeping seconds hand. I get lost too often just staring at it. In terms of accuracy, I've had this watch for about 2.5 weeks now. I've been indoors and outdoors across a variety of different temperatures. It is the Canadian winter right now, and the watch is keeping time to within 1 second. So I believe that 5 seconds per month is probably going to be a very conservative estimate, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like me, you end up with quite a lot better. There is a few different colorways of this. There's a limited edition silver, and there is a very 1970s gold and yellow, if that's your thing, but the red was the one for me, and it does seem to be the most popular. I went to a watch shop last weekend, and they told me they've got a 3-month wait now from Bulova here in Canada to restock the red, and I have seen the red out and about, and there are a few places having stock. It's not like a crazy shortage. I think it just goes to show the popularity of the red dial model. Looking at the watch and looking at the dial, it's a sunburst maroon dial. Very elegant is the best way I can describe it, and in low light you can still see that it is red, but it doesn't really shine until you get some direct light onto it or until you're outdoors. The indices on this one are applied, and they're faithful to the original 1970s Jet Star. You'll notice those red strips there contrasting with the black. That's exactly how they were on the original watch, and although it's not great for visibility, it is a faithful reissue. And you'll notice that on the hour and the minute hand, you've got the same red strips there providing the contrast, and then the legibility comes from the splashes of white, which you'll see on the hour hand, the minute hand, and the seconds hand is full white. And the seconds hand generally has the most visibility on this, and that's just as well, because that's got the sweep, and that's what you're probably going to want to watch. Bulova and 262 kHz is printed on the dial, and there is a date window on the right hand side, and that is framed. Very small lume dots at each 5-minute marker, and a track for your minutes. The case itself actually wears slightly larger than the dimensions would suggest, because it's a little bit boxy and not as compact as a circular case that you'd get typically on a watch, but it is very nicely polished on the upper surfaces. You'll see those chamfers there, extremely reflective, and then on the sides you've got brushing, that is vertical brushing, and then also the crown, worth pointing out, has the Bulova tuning fork logo on the side, and it's not particularly big, but you won't need to use it particularly often because, as you know, this is a quartz watch. For the case back, it's brushed, it's got some specs and some information on it, and it is a screw down. So you will need a tool when it comes to battery changes or to take it to your local watch shop. The bracelet on this for me is absolutely worth talking about. It's not so often that I come across watches, especially below $1,000, with interesting bracelet designs. A lot of watch brands don't tend to innovate on bracelets. They're happy to do all of the work on the head of the watch and not really put much design effort in. They'll just take something stock that they've got and put that bracelet on. I don't know what you call this bracelet design. To me it's, I don't know, double H or back-to-back E's. Similar to a H-link I suppose, but just doubled up. If you can keep the fingerprints off this, it really does glisten in certain lights. The crystal on this one is a slightly domed sapphire, and you do get some distortions, but only at extreme angles, so it doesn't affect legibility, but it does give you, again, a nice little bit of character when you tilt the watch at quite an angle. In terms of lume with this one, you might have guessed it's not going to blow you away. And here you are up against the Proxima, the lume champion, and you'll see it is legible, but it's absolutely not impressive. For me, I have to talk about the bracelet here. I've mentioned that it's an original design. You've got the quick release on there. These small links provide great articulation, which means it's extremely comfortable over a long day. And it is a butterfly clasp, but the links are small and you've got a half link included as well. So I don't believe you're going to have any trouble getting a comfortable fit regardless of your wrist size. And it does come with a lot of links, so if you've got a larger wrist, I don't think you're going to have a problem with this. The movement. The accuracy is one thing, but also combine that with that lovely spring drive-esque sweep, and I think you're onto such a winner. The elegant movement of the seconds hand and that deep maroon on the dial mean that I really just do find myself staring at this piece, meaning to check the time, putting the watch back down, and I still don't know what the time is. I've been completely distracted, and as a watch enthusiast, that is such a pleasure. But it's not all fantastic, of course. I do really like this watch, but there is some negatives here. First of all, I need to talk about scratches and fingerprints. You've got a lot of polished surfaces on this watch, and it looks great when you first get it out of the box. But the top portions of the case, the bezel, the outer parts of the bracelet, and then the inner rectangles on the bracelet are all high polish. This means if you're fussy with fingerprints, you'll be forever wiping it down. It's one of those ones I think you just have to accept the fingerprints and accept the scratches. Mine came from a jeweler's store and it had been on display and been in and out of a display cabinet a couple of times before I purchased it. And even though it was new, it still came with a couple of micro scratches visible on the bracelet on these high polished portions, and it's just so easy to do. As soon as you take one of these watches out into the wild, you are going to succumb to scratches. Another point is the battery consumption remains a bit of an unknown with this one. Other precisionist movements tend to chew through batteries a little bit quicker and use larger batteries to boot. I don't know, I can't find anywhere any information on how long the battery will last on this, but I'm assuming it's more likely to be close to 2 years than it is to 5 years. The next point is that it could have been so great with a screw down crown and 100 meters of water resistance. I think it would have pushed it up into an everyday sports watch kind of category, and I think it would have made it a little bit more appealing to quite a lot more people. Final point is just the lume is bad. There could have been more layers on the hour and the minute hand, or even those applied indices could have been lumed, because you can get colored lume now. It's not as bright, but it still would have been something.
Yes or no, this is your last chance, no beating around the bush.
This watch is everything that I want in a reissue. It's faithful design cues and a nostalgic feeling of the original, in this case 1970s, but with modern touches like that fantastically accurate precisionist movement. I love what Bulova has done with this watch, and I can't stress how much I'm so impressed with the Bulova watches I've picked up this year. I have 2 watches from them. I've got the Surveyor Skeleton, which won't be everyone's cup of tea, and this one, which is perhaps a little bit more universal. And both of them are built to such a high standard, and I also think the QC is superb. On the Skeleton, you can argue the movement is essentially a Miyota 8 series, so it seems slightly overpriced in that regard. But with this one, with the Precisionist, with what you're getting here, I think this is a really good offering. And if you get it in a sale, as Bulova often goes on sale, same as Citizen, you'll find them at jewelers regularly 30-35% off. I think it's a fantastic watch, and I can't see how you'll be disappointed. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about Bulova's Jet Star reissue? Will you be picking one up? Have you picked one up? Or is there something that really turns you off it? Also, if you've had a similar journey with quartz as I have, a little bit of a love-hate-love relationship, then I'd be keen to hear as well. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, I really appreciate the thumbs up and any new subscriptions, as a very small channel on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers.